Hello and welcome to another episode of Beyond the 3D. My name is Michael J. Russ. Thank you so much for joining me. As I'm producing this podcast, it's the 9th day of 2021, and a lot is happening. A lot has happened. 2020 was an amazing year on many levels. It's changed everyone's life. I think just about everybody had their life impacted in one way or another, even if your work wasn't in some way interfered with, affected, impacted. Those around you, I'm sure, have been impacted. So suffice to say that a lot happened. A lot in the 3D world occurred, a lot of things, a lot of circumstances. And there were a lot of ramifications and consequences as a result of actions taken by others, governments, individuals, corporations, that have impacted people's lives, likely yours, in a big way. Anywhere, wherever you are in the world. I think as I'm talking right now, Germany's locked down again. I think Sweden's thinking about it. The UK's been locked down. The strain of COVID-19 has become more virulent and a lot easier to transmit, and it's an ongoing situation. And when I look back at 2020, I see it as a big cosmic 2x4 that's hit the entire world, everybody in the world beside the head, and made them assess their own lives. And if you've been focused on the minutiae of the circumstances and not on how the circumstances of what has gone on and the ramifications, the consequences as a result, can help you shift your own behavior, because it's really all about you. The only thing you can control in life is you, what you do, how you think, how you feel, how you respond, and the intentions, goals, and dreams that you have for yourself. It's all about you. And otherwise, it's just something out there. And so this 2020 was an opportunity to improve your health habits, make yourself more resilient to the virus, to change your thinking, to examine the work environment that you've been in, to examine your relationships. I know people who were on the road hours and hours a day, out commuting from 5 a.m. to coming home at 7 after another long commute, and not really seeing and connecting with their family and friends and children, family, whatever, in any respectful way, in any meaningful way. Let's put it that way. And as a result of COVID, they had to stay home, not commute, not spend so much time away. And they had to totally adapt to that environment, to that situation. And many people saw it as an opportunity to get closer together, talk more, feel more, experience each other more, to get to know each other on different levels, to reconnect with your significant other if you have one, your family, friends, children if you have them, in ways that you previously would not have without COVID. The question I have to ask you is, how do you perceive? How are you perceiving now 2020? How are you perceiving 2020? What is your perception of it? And to say that it's really, really important that you adopt a positive perception of 2020. Adopting a positive perception of 2020 is going to allow you to let it go much more quickly. And believe me, you need to let it go. You need to let go of it. Let go of everything that happened. Take what you can from what has gone on, what went on in 2020, and just let it go. Literally flush it out of your mind like you just flush a toilet. Flush it out. This reality is now. Your future is curated and designed based on what you're thinking right now. And self-talk is a huge part of that. And this episode is called Self-Talk for Letting Go for a reason. Because I'm going to impart one simple little phrase that's going to help you let go much more easily. Now, I want to start out this episode with a quote. The best way to predict the future is to create it. And in conversations with people, everybody's trying to predict what's going to go on in 2020. Will there be a vaccine? When will I get it? When will this happen? When will I be able to fly again? When will I be able to do this and do that without even having to think about, getting COVID? Yeah, basically, the best way to predict what's going to happen in 2020 is to actually create it for you. Now, you're not talking about creating things you can't control. When you get the vaccine is beyond your control. When you go back to your office, if you're working from home, is not within your control. What is within your control is getting comfortable and being highly productive at your home office. What is within your control is how you interact with the people that are around you. The people you interact with on Zoom or Skype or Microsoft Teams or whatever it is that you use to connect with the outside world from your environment. What is within your control is how you take care of yourself, how you build your immune system, how you increase the health of your body and the resilience of your body to something like COVID. What is within your control is what you put into your body, what you put into your mind, what you expose yourself to on television, on the computer. That is well within your control, all of that. What's within your control are the perceptions that you harbor about 2020 and 2021. The people around you. All of that is within your control. Self-talk is an integral part of that. One of the most effective ways to intentionally curate your future is through your self-talk. You're in a conversation. Because as someone said, you are what you think. That is the definition of self-talk. And so my mission is to drill down in this episode on how you can apply self-talk, the power of it, how you can empower yourself through self-talk to make it easier to let go of people, circumstances, events, failures, whatever it is that bugged you last year. So you can turn 2020 into gold for you now and going forward. And before we get cracking with this episode, I want to reference 3 past episodes about self-talk that you can listen to that are in the archives of this podcast on the various distribution networks. And basically get a better grasp of self-talk. I'm not going to go into the nuts and bolts of it right now. What I'm going to do is really focus on one simple thing. But I'd really like you to go back and listen to these 3 episodes so you can apply your self-talk, assess and apply your self-talk more effectively. The nuts and bolts are important when it comes to this because self-talk can be harnessed as a tool to assist you in a myriad of ways. Now, the 3 episodes I'm referring to are Owning Your Power in Action through Self-Talk, published 1/28/19, How to Own Your Self-Talk Every Day, which was published March 30 of 2019, and What You Say is What You Get, which I published April 6th of 2020, last year. And what's important to remember about self-talk is that it programs and reinforces how you think, feel, and act, and the way you experience your life, your reality. You actually create your reality. Your perceptions are reinforced by your self-talk. And as an example, if you don't feel good about yourself and your circumstances, if you don't like working from home, your self-talk will reveal just that. You'll continually tell people, I hate working from home. I hate working from home. I'm not comfortable working from home. I'm not as productive working from home. That self-talk about you is directly impacting what you are capable of. It's limiting. It's very limiting. And what you want to do basically is assess that self-talk and get rid of it. I am productive at home. I am more productive at home. So that you can open the pathways to the creativity and inspiration for being more productive at home. That's the programming I'm talking about. Now, some of the quotes associated with self-talk that I've written in the past is, what you think, so shall you be. Whether you think you can or think you cannot, you're right in both cases. That is not my quote, but it's a very popular one that's out there, that's been out there for decades. You are what you think and say about yourself most often. That's it. If you think you're ugly, it's going to bear out. You'll feel that way. You'll think that way. In reality, that is what everybody else will see, that you're ugly, because that's the conversation going on in your head. You're literally creating that. Your inner conversation or self-talk is a vital element for personal alchemy and personal sovereignty, and an effective tool for turning lead into gold, as I just mentioned, especially when your life isn't going as planned. And for many people out there right now, their life isn't going as planned. If you're one of them, if you don't feel, if your perception of your life is that it's not in any way going the way you thought it would go, let go of that notion. Let go of the what you think it should have been, how you think it should have gone, because the reality is the way it's going now. And for you, you want to get off the train that stopped back at the other station that you're lamenting about, that I should have been on that train. You're on this train. Where's this train going? How can you adapt to this train? How can you thrive on this train and wherever it's going? That is what you have control over, and that is what your inner conversation has to start promoting, reinforcing, is how you can coexist within this environment that you're in. How can you happily coexist? So many people out there are lamenting about, I have to wear a mask. Heck, I was just down in Cabo, San Lucas for a week with my girlfriend, and I got to tell you, it didn't occur to me how a mask could impact your life until you put it on before you went into the airport and never took it off until you got to your destination 6 hours later. You're wearing it everywhere. Yeah, we have to peacefully coexist with something as simple as a mask. It's not just me that says this, but according to health professionals, we could have been much farther along if we had all, as a culture, adopted mask wearing under all circumstances, especially when you were around crowds of individuals. And that if you socially distance, I'm not beating a drum here that you hear every day on TV. However, it's actually the truth. The cultures that have mastered this virus, that are peacefully coexisting with it, are the Asian cultures, because they're used to wearing masks. They're used to, and they're not social distancing right now. They're just wearing masks. Everybody's wearing masks. They did it from the very beginning. Unfortunately, powers that be fought it. Then a large swath of our population fought it. If we all can't get on the same page, it's going to be very challenging for us all to actually move forward and get past this. In the meantime, so many people are simply complaining about it and talking about things that are irrelevant when it comes to they and their lives. We must live with love, empathy, compassion, and kindness. And part of that is understanding that they've recently found out that COVID really spreads 59% of the time through asymptomatic spread. People who don't have a temperature. I've never understood why someone's having their temperature taken. That makes no sense. That doesn't mean you don't have COVID. It really doesn't. That's just a flu thing. Okay, if it goes back, harkens back to the flu. If you, as I understand it from a health perspective, if you have a fever and have the flu, you are contagious at that particular point. If you don't have a fever, you're not contagious. Well, that's not something that can be applied to COVID, yet it has been. We need to get rid of that. Wearing a mask in public, around people, being very careful about who comes into your home, who you allow into your environment, and everybody taking precautions is the only way we're going to get through this. Your self-talk is, as I said, an integral part of all this. When you say, I'm not going to wear a mask, I'm not going to adhere to protocols, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that, that's your self-talk in action. It programs your reality and the consequences thereof. Now, the first thing you always want to assess, and the first thing I suggest right now coming into 2021, I assess what inner conversation you're having about yourself and what you're capable of with regard to 2020. Go back and listen to some of those episodes I just mentioned. Give you some nuts and bolts about how to do that. You want a clean, purposeful, positive inner conversation going into 2021. If your job's been impacted by COVID-19, how you refer to yourself and your circumstances matters. If you've contracted COVID-19, how you refer to your ability to progress through it matters. If someone in your family has been or is being impacted by COVID-19, the self-talk you use to support your perceptions of people and events and circumstances matters. If you want to get beyond someone or something, your self-talk will either help or hinder your efforts, period. It's the first place you go. If you've lost your job, how you're referring to yourself with regard to obtaining gainful employment, doing something different, taking a different job. If you're saying, I could never do that, that's not in my wheelhouse. I don't think I could ever do that. I know people literally who have gone and gotten jobs just to bring in income that it's not career oriented. They're willing to do just about anything to make sure that life goes on for them, that they put food on the table. They're not second guessing or saying that's beneath me. That's not anything that I would ever do. There are people with Mercedes and BMWs in food lines experiencing food insecurity right now. So let me get to the point here with this episode. There is a phrase that I heard that I have adopted that's called up to now. The phrase is up to now. I absolutely love it. When I heard this phrase for the first time from someone I highly respect, I immediately recognized how brilliant it was and how it could be applied to accelerate the transformation of thoughts, behaviors, and responses that no longer serve you. I'm always on the lookout for this. Like I said, self-talk is my life. I've trained myself to always speak positively about myself and never say anything negative. There is no earthly reason to beat myself up. You should adopt the same. There's no earthly reason ever to get down on yourself. I don't care what it is. I don't care what's happened. I don't care how bad your circumstances are. Beating yourself up is not an option that is going to benefit you in any way, shape, or form. Now, why is the phrase up to now brilliant? Because it gives you a benchmark from which you can begin anew. That is the beauty of it. Let me put it another way. When you make statements about yourself using the phrase up to now, you're referring to the past, what was, who you used to be, and giving yourself an opportunity to transform your feelings, thoughts, self-talk, behaviors now to create a different future reality. A great example of how this works is if you were to catch yourself saying, I'm not good at remembering names. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard that from people. They apologize. I'm sorry. I'm not really good at names, at remembering names. And instead, say, up to now, I've not been very good at remembering names. What comes after is the programming for the future. However, I am going to remember yours. However, that was the past, and this is now. You see how that works? Up to now. To be honest, I've applied the phrase to shift my focus on remembering people's names, and it really has worked. It really has worked. Your self-talk can either reinforce and perpetuate a problem or program you to alleviate it altogether. The choice is always yours to make, of course. And here are a few examples, because I started thinking about this, and I wrote down a bunch of different examples of this and how you could use this phrase as a catalyst to transform thoughts, behaviors, your own reality, your prosperity, your wealth, your ability to deepen relationships, everything. And here they go. I'm going to give you a bunch of them. Up to now, I've had this perception. Up to now, I haven't been very good at that. Up to now, I've been afraid. Up to now, I've held this opinion. Up to now, I did not want to be in control of my life. I let somebody else control my life. Up to now. Up to now, I never thought I could. Up to now, I haven't been able to. Up to now, I haven't wanted to. Up to now, I haven't been able to love again. Up to now, I've been angry, hurt. Up to now, I've allowed people to control how I feel. Other people, my friends, my family, my workmates, everybody else except me. Up to now, I've not been kind, loving, compassionate, or empathetic enough. Up to now, I haven't been willing to. Up to now, my self-talk has been negative, terrible in fact, self-defeating. Up to now, I've been resistant to change. Up to now, I did not want to move on. Up to now, I've been unwilling to accept what has happened. Wow. That's a lot of up to nows. That's a lot. I just want to give you some examples of how you use this phrase. Up to now, I've allowed COVID-19 to affect my life and control how I think and feel. However, no longer will this be the case. I am taking control now. Each one of these statements that I just said is really the first part of this. As I said there, the first part. This is where you state what you've been, how you've been doing, and how you need to change. Now, as you can plainly see, the phrase can be applied in many ways with striking effect. You've got to, I encourage you to, just adopt this phrase. Start using it every single day when you find that you have a thought or behavior that no longer serves you. Up to now, I haven't been very good at that. However, I'm making every effort from now on to be good at it. I'll do whatever's necessary to be better at it. Up to now, I haven't been a very good friend. However, that stops right now, and I will be a better friend to you. You can say that to somebody. Wow, that's powerful. That's impactful when it comes to somebody. Go to your kids and say, up to now, I have not given you the time that you just truly deserved. I've been busy. I've been working. However, I can promise you that from now on, things will be different. You say that to somebody, it means something. That's purposeful. That's intentional. And that's what I'm talking about when it comes to self-talk, being purposeful and intentional. This phrase can spark true, lasting, deep change. Up to now, I never thought I could. However, from now on, I know I can do this. I'll do whatever's necessary, learn what is necessary to make this happen. Up to now, I haven't wanted to. Now I do. Up to now, I haven't been able to love again. However, I'm letting go of the past. I'm letting go of the circumstances that have been holding me back. I'm opening my heart. I could get hurt again. However, that's part of life. That's a lesson. That's an opportunity for me to do it again, to move past that situation, that circumstance. Up to now, I've been angry. However, I'm letting that go now. I'm letting it go. What's been, anger will literally eat you alive from the inside out. Negative feelings and emotions will eat you alive. When I say thoughts or things, anger, disappointment, resentment, revenge, hate, these feelings and emotions and the actions that correspondingly go with them will eat you alive from the inside out. They literally will drive your reality. If that's the reality you want, that's exactly what you're creating. In order to change that reality, you must transform the perceptions that are creating the hate, the anger, the revenge. I talked about a gentleman who was helping Ku Klux Klan members, people who were, full on board racists, renounce their membership in the Ku Klux Klan. And the insidious thought processes, the consequences, ramifications, thought and action-wise, that went along with those perceptions. And it was all about shifting perception. That's all it was. Up to now, I've had this perception. I've let it go. And my life is changing. I'm not going to beat this to death. I'm simply going to say, give this statement a test drive with intention over the next week or two. When you find yourself engaging in limiting self-talk, thoughts, habits, and behaviors, ideas, and responses that you've outgrown, those that no longer serve you, that are no longer relevant to you. When you're sitting in a puddle of pity, self-pity about something, about not having a job, about not having the relationship that you want, about being alone and not wanting to be alone, I can simply tell you that your inner conversation is reinforcing all of that, those perceptions. You can bet on it. When I talk to people who say they're having issues and want to change, I listen to their inner conversation. I listen to what they're telling me about themselves. And I simply let them know what I'm hearing. Once they hear what they're saying about themselves, and I give them a couple of tools for shifting that conversation, their outer reality, their outer world will correspondingly change. Self-talk has a frequency. Negativity begets negativity. Negative ramifications, negative consequences, negative thoughts, feelings, words, actions, responses to whatever goes on in life. That's it. You always must pay attention to how you feel. Use the phrase up to now in any way you see fit to start anew. Up to now, I haven't exercised. That changes. This is a new year. I'm committing to exercising 3 times a week, and I'll create a plan for doing so. Up to now, I haven't eaten very well. I've been eating a lot of fast food, a lot of sugar, a lot of salt, processed foods. However, I'm changing all that right now. You give yourself permission to let go of the past. Move into the present and use the present to design your future. My name is Michael J. Russ again. Thanks so much for joining me for this episode. Thank you so much for listening to me wherever you are in the world. Russia, Ireland, Switzerland, Germany, Australia. Some great, I'm sure these episodes are helping you. I'd love to know how. One last request. If you listen on iTunes, especially, but on whatever distribution network you use, if there's a place to leave a comment or a testimonial, and I know that there is on iTunes, would you please take a moment on iTunes to leave a testimonial about this podcast? Few words, an example, a story, whatever you want to do. It could be a simple line. Give the show a rating and just let others know how it's helped you so that they can know the value of the programming that I'm putting out. Take care of yourself. Be well. Be safe. Make life what you want it to be. It's a new dawn. It's a new day. Always is. And it's always going to be what you make it. Take care. Bye-bye.